You're listening to The Bold Blueprint with Claire Bartlett. This is the go-to podcast for business owners who are ready to be bold, step into your power and claim the success that you deserve. So whether you're an established business or just starting out, this podcast is your weekly dose of unapologetic inspiration, empowerment and actionable advice to take your business to the next level. Today's episode is brought to you by Xero Accounting Software, a champion of small businesses and a proud sponsor of the Bold Blueprint podcast. Managing your business finances can feel overwhelming, but Xero simplifies it all and gives you the power to keep your books in order and your mind on growth. Xero have amazingly offered a 50% discount off your first 3 months with them. So if you'd like to take advantage of this amazing deal, just follow the link in the show notes. Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of The Bold Blueprint. I'm your host Claire Bartlett, business coach and strategist and the one who helps you get the most from your business and really feel aligned and fall in love with it again. So if you've been listening for a while, you will know that we are right in the middle of our reset program and explaining what each element is. So we have already covered the R, which is reigniting that passion into the business and really remembering the why you started it in the first place. We've explored our business. We've looked at what's working and what isn't and how we can change that. And then last time we looked at the strategy, implementing strategy throughout our business to help us achieve those goals. So if you haven't listened to those yet, feel free to move back and have a listen to them. But today we are ending the program with the E and the T, which is the elevate and thrive. We are going to be looking at how to elevate everything that we've worked so far, elevate the visibility, look at how you show up, you stand out, and you scale up your business. And finally, we're going to talk about thriving personally and professionally and how we can put everything together to really design the life that you deserve. So let's get started with elevate. Elevating your business is, again, it's a bit of a buzzword that people use all too often nowadays, but really it's about taking it to that next level. So when we've looked at reigniting that passion and really starting to align yourself with your business and building those goals and those ambitions, then we've looked at what isn't working in your business and we've removed those, which feels so good to clear the decks and have everything perfectly aligned. Then we've started to look at strategy and how we can start building a plan of how we're going to work towards those goals. And now we're going to start elevating your visibility to help you move your business forward. One of the main areas that is a sticking point for most of my clients when they come to me when it comes to elevating your visibility is the confidence. It's the confidence to put yourself out there. And it really does take a bit of a mindset shift here because confidence isn't something that you can just create instantly within yourself. It's something that is learned. And the only way that you learn it is by actually pushing the boundaries of your comfort zone, putting yourself into those uncomfortable situations. And when you survive it, when you manage to achieve that thing that feels so scary to you, that's where the confidence comes because you've proven to yourself that you can do whatever that thing is. And often when it comes to confidence, people need physical proof that they are able to achieve that task, whatever it is that we're talking about. And the physical proof is where the confidence comes. And that's what carries you forward to the next time that you push those boundaries. Because let's be honest, the comfort zone is a toxic place to be. It is where you are feeling the most comfortable. It's where you are limiting yourself. Let's just stay here where I know everything is going to be okay. I'm not pushing my boundaries or my limitations. My routines are here. I know exactly what's going to happen day in and day out. That is not the way to grow a business or grow yourself personally. You need to be getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. You need to push yourself forward and break the barriers of your comfort zone. But say one of the things that you wanted to do to grow your visibility was to do some public speaking, to get up on stage and share your wisdom. If you had never done any public speaking before and you are dreaming of doing a TEDx talk or speaking in front of thousands of people, The leap from never doing anything to getting straight onto a TEDx stage can feel so unbelievably unachievable for you and so daunting that you end up not doing anything. But here's the magic bit. If you take tiny little steps forward, just nudging the boundaries of your comfort zone each time, you, yes, might feel a little bit uncomfortable and a little bit cautious, but you will barely notice it. And then one day, suddenly, the next obvious step is to the TEDx stage, and you won't even have noticed the progress you've made. So instead of going for those giant leaps that just end up making you get paralyzed with fear or the, stepping into the unknown, you need to break it into slightly more manageable and more realistic steps for yourself. So that could be hosting a webinar. So you're public speaking in a safer environment. It could be going public networking, face-to-face networking. And when you have to stand up and do that 60-second pitch, that in itself is a real fear-inducing thing to do for some people. So that might be your first natural step. And then look for guest experting slots in other people's memberships and Facebook groups and communities. These are all ways that you are testing your boundaries, you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, you are public speaking, but they're all just on the precipice of, unachievable. You can do those things and you know that you're in safe environments. So it's looking for those small steps that you can take. And there's small steps in every different goal that you might have for yourself. If you are looking to become a published author, for instance, I know this is a big dream for a lot of people, but just sitting down one day and writing an entire book, again, just feels so far out of your imagination. It feels unattainable. But what if you just had to write a blog post once a month, 1,500 words on something that you're passionate about that's related to your business or whatever your book that you dream of is on? If you just have to write a blog post once a week or once a month, that then doesn't become so daunting. And I actually have a client, someone I've worked with previously, who is an absolutely amazing published author now. She has over 20 books in her repertoire, and her whole journey with becoming an author started with a blog. In fact, she was actually on this podcast in season 1. Her name is Shelley Wilson, and I will tag her episode in at the show notes so you can go back and have a listen. But she started a blog, and then after 12 months, someone said to her that blog is a book. That could be, it just needs tiny tweaks, and there's your first book. And that became her first book and is still her bestseller today. So it's, such small steps. Writing a blog feels achievable for anybody. It's not that big of a time commitment, so you can fit it into the work that you are already doing. It's a nice way to just start to feel how you put together your words and how you write, what your voice sounds like on paper. And it can lead to those, those final steps of having a best-selling published book. So what you need to do is look back at the work you've done in the first 3 steps, look at the goals that you have set yourself, and figure out what are the tiny steps that you can take that will be constantly moving you forward towards those goals, but not in a really terrifyingly scary way. That is how you build stronger visibility without jumping out of your comfort zone, but doing it in a gentle way that is constantly growing you as a person. And you will notice that with each small step that you take, your confidence is growing until suddenly you can take bigger steps forward and bigger steps forward because you have the faith in yourself that you've survived all of the previous small steps you've taken. So you know the next one, even if it's something new that you've never done before, you know that you will be okay when you do it. I remember my first ever public speaking gig was at the Excel in London. So, it wasn't a small venue. I wasn't on the main stage. I was on a side stage, but there was still other speakers at that event, like Sarah Davies, massive names. I was absolutely petrified. And I'd done some small public speaking before. I'd hosted networking events. I'd done some webinars. So I had some experience, but this was the biggest step that I'd taken by far in this journey. And it's so funny because last week I was at the Excel again doing another guest expert slot. and I can still feel the nerves. So it's like I have this visceral reaction and remembering that very first day that I was there. And it just shows me how far I've come in that journey. But it's because I pushed myself and I knew that I could survive those nerves. I knew that it would be okay once I got up on stage, which is the bit that now gives me the confidence, because I know that once I get up there, I'm absolutely confident in what I'm speaking about. I know it inside and out. So once I'm on stage, everything is fine. It's just getting yourself to that stage that feels so daunting. So I really urge you to have a look at those goals that you've set yourself and figure out what steps you can take over the next 2, 3, 6 months that will start moving you forward and growing that visibility. Obviously, we can't talk about visibility without talking about social media as well and growing that audience. And we did cover this slightly in the previous episode, but I just want to hit on this again because social media is a massive part of business nowadays, whether we like it or not. Especially, service-based businesses and online businesses, you need a strong social media presence. And what will make you stand out and bring in the true audience is being authentic, and which again, people throw that word around, but it just means being yourself, being true to yourself. Please don't put out content because you think it's what people will want to hear or see, or it's what you should be doing. I absolutely hate that word, should. It's such a conditioning word. And it really is giving the power of your actions to someone else. You should never feel like you need to do anything. You are able to show up however feels best for you. And if that is not attractive to some people, if that turns some people away from your business, that is a good thing because it's clearing out the waif and strays that will never buy from you because they will never connect with you on that deeper level, which is what you need, right, to make a sale. So you need to clear out your audience and have the genuine connections, the people who are genuinely interested to buy from you within your world. I talk about this a lot, but there's a lot of vanity within following numbers on social media. But you will look at somebody who has 50,000 followers, and if you say have, 5,000, you might really aspire to be like them. You might think they have everything figured out. But what if that audience isn't engaged with that person? And what if none of them are actually primed to buy from them? Then it's a completely waste of time. There is no benefit in having 50,000 followers. In your 5,000 followers, that might be absolutely cram packed with people who adore what you're doing, who completely resonate with your message and are ready to buy any product that you release. There is much more value in a smaller but really primed audience. It's not about chasing the big numbers and going viral. So, when we're talking about social media, you need to understand the why, the who, and the where. You need to look at who you are wanting to speak to. So you really need to nail down that specific, audience. Who is your ideal client? Really understand them. And the way that I do this, and I do this with all of my clients, is I take them through the funnel, and I say, we start off with very simple things. Okay, what would their job be? Where would they live? What age bracket are they in? Do you have a particular gender that you would like to work with? Very generic questions. Once you've answered all of those, you go down to the next level. Okay, well, what would be their job title? What would be their marital status? What would they have children? Would they have pets? What type of lifestyle do they have? What do they look like? And then you take it down to the next level again and you get slightly more intimate with that person. Okay, well, what color is their hair? What do they like to do in their downtime? Do they like to go and have a glass of Prosecco with friends, or do they like to go and play golf? Really start to build an image in your head of a specific person. And right at the bottom, you give them a name. That is how you really begin to connect with people, because then every single piece of content that you create, every time you are writing a sales page, putting a post on social media, even speaking in public, every time that you are putting anything out for your business, you do it as if you are speaking in conversation directly to that person. That is how you connect with people. It's sharing, it's having that real deep insight into who you are speaking to. Once you know the who, you then need to figure out where. Okay, I know that I want to speak to Pamela. Where would Pamela hang out? Is she the type of person that is on LinkedIn? Is she in a more corporate position? Is she on Instagram and loves sharing an insight into her life? Is she on Facebook? Depending on age bracket, where would she be hanging out? Where would more people like Pamela be? Would they be on TikTok? There's obviously loads of different platforms now, and they all do cater for a slightly different audience. So you need to be asking yourself the questions: where would that person be hanging out? That is then where you need to focus your attention. There's no point putting all of your energy into LinkedIn because that's what you've always done before, or that's where you think people might be hanging out, when actually your ideal client is on Instagram. So it's really important to take some time and ask yourself these questions and build this picture in your mind of who it is that you're speaking to, and then put all of your attention on that specific platform, speaking as if you are speaking to that specific person. Then you need to understand why. Why am I putting this content out? What am I trying to achieve with this content? So I'm speaking to Pamela. She is my ideal client, and I think she's going to be hanging out on Instagram. So I start putting loads of content out onto Instagram. I have to have a purpose of that content. I have to have that strategy that we spoke about last week behind the content. Am I trying to just instantly sell to her? Do I want her to buy my products and I'm putting the links out right there and then for her to buy? Am I looking for her to just download a freebie and start coming into my world that way? Am I just here to nurture a community that actually at some point I'm going to move off Instagram into another platform? There's so many different ways to use social media. And what I've found with most clients, and what I did in the beginning as well myself, is I just put content out on all the platforms and I just think, well, that's what I need to do to be visible. I just need to put content out everywhere. But none of my content had a strategy behind it. I was just posting the same thing on every platform, and I wasn't putting links in or directions for the people that I was speaking to. If I don't tell them what I'm wanting from them, if I don't put a direction on it, how are they going to know what the next logical step is for them? So it's so important that you build this strategy and you build this plan in your mind, and then you tell them what it is. I want you to download this freely. Here's the link. I want you to come and join me over in my Facebook group. Here's the link. You need to be really clear, and you need to give them that next actionable step to help them through that client journey. And remember, people are needing like 20 touch points with you now. So if I was using Instagram and I just wanted to directly sell to people, I probably wouldn't have a very high conversion rate because they need to have more interactions with me first. So really ask yourself those three questions. Who am I speaking to? How am I going to find them? And why am I speaking to them? What do I want out of it? And once you've figured those three things out, you can put all of your attention and you can really start growing your visibility. You will find that your audience numbers grow organically because you are speaking directly to people. You want your ideal client, when they see a piece of your content, you want them to feel like, oh my gosh, she's speaking to me. It's like that's gone into my brain and they've taken out my exact thoughts. That's the impact that you want to have. And unless you have that clarity and those foundational information behind you, you won't get that. So it's so important to do this work and put the strategy in from last episode. Also, it's really important to share your story and be transparent with people. What led you to where you are today? Use storytelling to really emphasize your expertise in this area. And niching is something that people speak about a lot and throw around, and there's a lot of fear around niching. People believe that they're closing off their business to a whole market if they just focus on this one bit. But what I want you to remember is niching is for now, it's not for forever. So if there's one particular area that you can help clients with, and you think, okay, for now, I'm going to put all of my attention into marketing that one area and speak to those people directly, doesn't mean that in 6 months, once that's taking off and it's working well, you can introduce another niche. So don't feel like you are completely pigeonholing yourself forever, because you're not. It's about speaking and being able to really tailor your content to get some action from your ideal clients in today. Next, in elevating is elevating your sales. And sales is something that I really struggled with for a long time. It wasn't a natural thing for me at all. And I know it's not natural for a lot of other people. There's lots of advice and guidance out there. I am not a sales expert. I don't pretend to be. But one thing that I did learn is you need to be upfront about it. I used to really struggle to mention numbers, and I would say on the call, oh, I'll send you the proposal or I'll send you the pricing after this call ends. That leaves people to have time to sort of think and doubt and question it, and then they don't go through with the sale. But also it shows it's sort of diminishing my authority in that space, because you can tell that there was fear around me speaking about my numbers. You have to be confident in what you are selling and how much you are asking people to pay for it, how much they want to invest. Because if you're not confident, they won't be either. So it's really important to push yourself and, again, be uncomfortable in this situation. And when you're having those sales conversations, be honest and open about it. This is how much I'm asking you to invest to work with me. This is why I think it's worth it. This is the value that you will get. You need to sell them the dream outcome. Most people, when they're selling, they use real trigger words like cheap and the price and these sorts of words. You need to word it in a way that resonates with people. So it's an investment. To work with me is an investment of your time and your money. And it's, if I just said, this is, to work with me, you get a 1 hour coaching session, you'll get some WhatsApp support, you'll get a PDF guide. That's not selling the dream, right? That's true. Those are the things that you will get from working with me. But that's not going to entice people to get their purse out and start spending their money. You need to give them a visualization of how their life could be after they've worked with you. So, working with me, you will build the confidence to grow your business beyond anything you've ever imagined before. You will scale up your income and you will be able to work less hours. You will have the confidence and the ability and your knowledge to really put yourself out there as the expert in your industry. All of these things, I'm painting a picture for them. You will be able to take your family on that dream holiday. You will be able to retire at 50. Whatever it is, and hopefully through the sales journey, you've managed to ask them enough questions to help you really understand what it is that they are dreaming of having in their life. Well, by working with you, you'll help them achieve it. So sell the dream. Don't just sell the PDF guide, the one-to-one time with you, the black and white things that you physically get. That's not enticing to anybody. You need to sell them the outcome. What will they gain from working with you? What value are you going to add to their life? And you need to make it irresistible to them. One book actually that I highly recommend anybody reads if you haven't, is by Alex Hormozy, and it's called The $100 Million Offers. And this was so great for me because it really helps you build an offer that ultimately is too attractive to turn down. It makes it so attractive that people feel stupid for not buying it from you because you're giving so much value. There's another one from him as well, The $100 Million Leads. Both of these books were really, really insightful and completely different to any other business book that I'd ever read. So I highly recommend them. I'll put the links in the show notes again for you. Okay, so now you have a plan of how you're going to start elevating your business and how you're going to start scaling up and moving towards those bigger goals. Amazing. Now we're going to talk about how you thrive throughout all of that. How you make sure that you have a lifestyle that is sustainable for you. And one of the key things here is boundaries. You need to put the boundaries in place from day one because they're very hard to implement at a later date. So put in realistic boundaries for you. I'm only going to speak to clients between X and X. I am not going to be checking my emails on my phone throughout the evenings. I am only going to create content for 1 hour each week, and I'm going to get everything scheduled for that week. And that hour will be Y. You really need to build yourself a very strong structure, and then you don't deviate from it unless, I say don't deviate. Things happen, right? Life happens. I have a child. You never know what's going to happen with the child. there's lots going on all of the time. I have 2 businesses, things happen. But for me, just having that structure in my diary, and then if I need to move that hour for my content creation, I can move it within that week and that's fine. But I still know that that structure is in place and I have that flexibility, but it will still get done. It's really important to set these boundaries and these guidelines for you to help you. Because if I don't put those boundaries in place and I don't schedule these times out, honestly, just none of it would get done. I would have that many things. I'd be firefighting that many things. I would never prioritize the bits that are actually growing my business. It's so easy to get lost in doing the working in your business. But if we're really wanting to elevate and to scale up and to really thrive, you need to be working on your business. And the only way to make that a reality is to schedule that time in and put those boundaries in place. We spoke right at the very beginning of this chapter of when we were talking about realigning and reigniting the passion, about building a business that supports your true lifestyle, what you really dream about, your vision for your life. So it's really important that you keep that in mind as you go. Every time you are making a decision, you need to ask yourself, is this supporting the lifestyle that I envision for myself and my family? It's so easy to get led off course. It's so easy to follow, suddenly find yourself halfway down another path. So every time that you're making a decision, you really need to make sure that it is fully aligned with where you are wanting your life and your business to go. Then you need to make sure that you are constantly future proofing your mindset and looking at, the way that you charge your batteries, how you spend your time, who you spend your time with. All of these elements can really impact you in a positive or a negative way. So you need to make sure that you are always mindful of this. The most amazing thing for me is sitting in a room full of people who are doing amazing things with their business. It completely and utterly recharges my batteries. It fills me with inspiration and motivation, and I absolutely can't get enough of it. I know that that really feeds my creativity. So I look to fill them in my time as much as possible. There's other situations that I know really drain my energy. So I make sure that, they're still a priority. I still need to get them done, but I put them on a day where I know my energy levels will be high. They'll already been boosted by something else. So it's about understanding your body, your habits, and your mind, and then making sure that you allow for that and you work through the month with those. Another thing for me, obviously, hello, I'm a woman. I have a monthly cycle to go through, and it really does impact my energy levels and it really does impact my mood and how I feel about things. So I know that at times of the month, there'll be tasks I really just can't bring myself to do. So I need to make sure they're scheduled in, at a different point in the month. So it's just becoming aware of yourself and putting everything in place to help you enjoy every day as much as you possibly can. And if you have that passion and that love for your business and what you do, and you have that love for yourself and the self-care for yourself, then suddenly everything becomes so much easier and you really start thriving. And that's how you can move your business forward. And finally, you really need to become the CEO version of yourself. And what I mean by that is you need to have that overarching understanding of your business, of the vision and where you are going. Now, hopefully, working through these steps with me, you've got that now. You know where you're wanting your business to go. You have that structure and that, remember that sat nav, that roadmap of exactly the direction that you're going and the route that you're going to take to get there. So it's about having the strength in yourself to follow that path without doubt. It's about really knowing how you're wanting to get somewhere and making sure that every decision you make along the way is keeping you on that path. And that might mean saying no to people. It might mean turning down work, canceling opportunities. But that's the right thing to be doing because those things weren't aligned with you. And that's how you start not enjoying your business again and not enjoying your day to day life, which is nowhere that anybody should be. You should always be loving, especially when you work for yourself. When it's your own business, you should be absolutely thriving and loving every single day. And it's so easy and so common for people to lose sight of that. And suddenly you're 5 years in and you don't know where the time's gone and you don't know how you've ended up where you are. So you need to be strong with yourself and have that authority and that confidence in the decisions that you're making and that longer term vision for your business. So I really hope that you've enjoyed the insight into reset, how you reset your business and your personal life for success, and how often just simplifying things, stripping things out is really the way to get the passion back and to move your business forward. If you want to find out any more about any of this, please feel free to DM me. I would love to hear from you. As always, please tell me the thing that stood out for you the most through this series, which elements you've already started implementing. I absolutely love hearing from you all. You can find me on Instagram, CS for sugar _Bartlett. And that's it. We are right at the end of season 3. I cannot believe it. And we've surpassed episode 50, which again is incredible. I've absolutely loved this journey with you so far. I have some amazing guests lined up for season 4, which will be coming to you really, really soon. So, keep your eyes peeled for it. Hopefully you'll get notifications. If you subscribe to the podcast, if you give it a follow, you will always be informed when the next episode comes out. So please go and do that now. But from me for now, enjoy the rest of your week. Have a lovely time resetting your business and making sure that you are fully aligned with everything that you are doing. And I cannot wait to see the success that you have. Take care, and I will speak to you all soon. I hope you have enjoyed today's episode, which was brought to you by Xero Accounting Software, a champion of small businesses and a proud sponsor of the Bold Blueprint podcast. If you're running a small business and you are dreaming big, then Xero is here to help make those dreams a reality. Xero is all about supporting entrepreneurs just like you, who are not just running businesses but are also changing the game. So whether you're just starting out or you're scaling up, join a global community of small businesses who trust Xero to manage their finances efficiently.